Okay. So last week I was touched upon this topic, Ajapa. In Babaji, in complete works, he describes the state of Ajapa. It's a very interesting thing. When I read it for the first time in the complete works, it caught my attention for some reason. So it is in Ajapa is a state where automatically your heart starts beating in resonance of the word Om. Again, Om is something, it's a representation, it's a symbolic representation of the higher state. You can call it Brahman. And as Om is often associated with the Hinduism, but I would say, see, I mean, all these concepts which are developed by all religions, I would say, it's only the difference is by language because each one also emerged from the cultural background, from a linguistic background, and so many things like that. But in here, this Om crosses all the barriers of language. It is not a word. It is the if you see the combination of is a sound of all the syllables one can make. So it covers all the sounds, all the syllables from every language, all backgrounds. In That's how one way of looking at it. But interestingly, in uh, in the one of the Upanishads speak about Om. The Om is spoken like this is the dialogue between the boy, a 10-year-old boy called Nachiketa, and the Lord of Death, Yama, is having a conversation. And in that conversation, Yama was explaining a lot of things, and Nachiketa asks, that which cannot be experienced, that which cannot be seen, felt, understood, by which I can understand it. He says, all vocabulary, all language falls short to explain it. This is a response from Lord Yama. And the Yama says, it is the Om which the sound when it finds you. He did not say, somehow the translation happened when the people understood it as you have to chant the word Om. But Yama did not prescribe the chanting. He very clearly says, when you are in a state, in a higher state, the Om finds you and your heart, your inner starts resonating with the Om. And that is a true state of Om. And this has to happen automatically. You cannot induce this state. You cannot create this state. It is very clear in the Katha Upanishad. And that state which Yama is talking about in the Upanishad is the state of Ajapa. You see, I mean, Babaji did not know all this, Katha Upanishads. He didn't have that background. So whatever he produced is what he experienced because he has no baggage of reading any books, reading any scriptures. I mean, other than what he learned from his mother as as some prayers. So whatever Babaji has produced his own experience. If he can relate to this state of Ajapa, it is exactly what the Yama is talking about. Lord Yama, the Lord of Death, is talking to Nachiketa. He says this Ajapa has to happen very naturally. It cannot take place by meditating on Om because you don't know how to meditate on that condition. So it is a word. You know, the Hindi or Sanskrit word for, I mean, the in Sanskrit, the word is called pada, Pada. Pada means, I mean, everybody knows the who, you know, in Indian language, whoever, you know, whether it's Hindi, Telugu, or other languages, in everywhere it is called pada. Pada means you can say, think of it as a path, you can think of it as a word, or you can think of it as a state. The real meaning, the inner meaning of pada is state. Yeah, Yogesh, you have a question? Your hand.
Yes, one second. Meenal has a question.
Yes.
Dada, you were saying that that Om, we can go by ourselves, right? So how? Uh, I mean, when we chant Om, then definitely for a till I mean, let's say I'm chanting Om for half an hour, so I can feel that vibration. But after that, you're saying that you can go in that condition by yourself. Like how?
I am so like Babuji clearly said, this ajapa is a condition which is naturally happens through as a meditative state. There was no prescription of Om or chanting on Om. That's what I'm trying to say. So by chanting Om is only its own your own what do you say? You are sort of deluding yourself that you have reached the state of Om by chanting. It's like when the kids, you know, when they play, they're playing the restaurant, and one kid makes a coffee, and other kid will have the coffee from the cup. He says, "Ooh, coffee is very tasty." There's no coffee in that cup. They are like toy cups, and the kids did not make the coffee, but they're kind of what do you say, acting as if they're having a coffee, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Chanting Om is like that.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. But later, Chariji, in one of the speeches, he said, by chanting Om, it might create a very temporary state,
Mm-hmm.
but that state will only stay with you as long as you are in that vibration, as long as you are chanting. It is not a permanent state. But when
Yeah.
you reach the permanent state of Ajapa, Anahata Japa, your entire system is resonating with that state. So here it is not the word, that's what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
Pada means pad. Pada means the state. So when you raise the state of this word, in Christianity you will say word of the God. It's not the word which is important, it is the state which is important. So
Yeah.
as you know, the fundamental difference here in spirituality and versus other is that spirituality only talks about creating those states. Whereas in studies, you're often caught up with the beauty of the language and how you are expressing it and with what examples, and people get mesmerized the way they are reading, the way they are understanding the words. So they are mesmerized by the language, but not by the state. Whereas spirituality doesn't care about any words, it only concerns with this reaching that state. So Ajapa is one of those states. And the arousal of Om in the heart happens naturally, should not be forced. And exactly what Lord Yama is talking about in Kathopanishad. Okay. Through mental techniques. As the journey progresses beyond sixth chakra, the vibrations of Om spread throughout the body. It is called Anhat Ajapa, meaning natural vibration of the heart. You know, So it is why it is called Ajapa, not the Japa, means it's a vibratory state. In fact, all the mantras, I believe I mentioned in our last session, are of the vibratory states put into words. So it is somehow it is misunderstood. Okay, again, we kind of are stuck with the language. They say each mantra is encoded with what is called the root letters, syllables, root syllables. And each root syllable has certain vibratory state. And when you are pronouncing those syllables, it will create that vibratory state. True but temporary. True but temporary. So how can you see it is like this? Suppose if I say I have been to a mountain, I have seen a beautiful tree, and the beautiful flowers as if those flowers are from heaven. I saw them on this tree. So what I'm expressing in the words of what I have seen over there or what I have experienced, what I felt on that mountain. Now, how can you reach that state by repeating those words? Unless you go there, unless you see the same flowers, and unless you feel the same way about those flowers. You see? So that's why it could create a temporary state of that lullness, and you can go into your own imagination how those flowers look like. Okay, but it will not exactly describe my experience. Yes, Cliff.
Well, it would seem to me, while making a sound is not the goal, it could be a training to give you an idea of what that state is.
Correct. But it is only like like I gave this example, when the children are playing the kitchen and they're making all sorts of recipes and serving them on an empty plate, and the other kid is pretending that they are eating that delicious recipe, right? But there is nothing there. It's like that. That pretension is like that. So it cannot never give you the right experience. Okay. It only is subjected to your own imagination. You can say it's a beginning of that kid developing interest in learning cooking, but that's where it stops. It'll kind of give you a direction, a prompt for you to go and explore in that direction, but it doesn't give you the real state. Even what the temporary state we are calling about, it's not real at all. Okay. So let's proceed to the next one. And shadowy darkness and pressure at the temples. As one approaches the cosmic region, some abhyasis, after their meditation, may experience a sense of shadowy darkness. After meditation, when they open their eyes and look at objects, say a chair or a vase, for a few seconds, they seem as though they are dark. This hints that one is moving away from material materiality towards the energy. Furthermore, as one crosses cosmic region, abhyasis may also experience a gentle and soothing pressure on the temples, like a comforting touch. So again, a word of caution, don't try to create these conditions mentally. You have nothing to prove to anyone. If you experience any of these conditions on their own, make an entry in your journal and move on. See, this word move on is very important. A lot of times, one is just because we read or hear from someone, we sort of create a mental projection and then we think we are experiencing those conditions. That's a human nature, but that's okay. But whatever you experience, assume that it is the truth. Don't give any ifs and buts to it. Whatever you experience, whether it's your own mental projection, whether it's a real experience, or whether it's not a real experience, give a supposition that it is the true experience and stay with that condition for a while and move on. Because if you don't move on, then we get stagnated. It's a journey. In a journey, you are always moving on. It's like you are, let's say, you're traveling by a train on a very scenic journey. Each scenic view you get from the train, you will enjoy, but it keeps moving because you are ready for the next one. If you are stuck and enjoying this condition and you are gaga about this condition, you cannot move on. Even if you say you call your friends or other friends and abhyasis and you keep talking about that experience, that means you have not moved on. So these experiences are not for you to share with other people, but make a note in the journal and move on. Okay? Because otherwise we are stuck, and if that is your mental projection, even worse, you are stuck in your mental projection. Lot of times this is the problem. We read these conditions, we assume we are getting them, and then we are stuck with them. So it's very important. The spiritual journey means keep moving on. How much ever divine higher experience you have, the minute you move on, its significance is lost. And that's how one's condition should be. Whatever the condition you are experience, your experiencing condition is one. And lot of times we hear this word merging into the condition. When you are merged into the condition, the next condition appears. The next plausible condition appears. Plausible, not possible. Plausible condition appears, and you are chasing that next condition. If you are stuck with this condition, you can never merge in this condition. Number one, you can never see the next state. So moving on is very important aspect of spiritual life. How much ever great, how much ever wonderful it is. If you do not, that is okay too. I mean, here Daji is consoling us, but the reality is it is not okay. Measuring spiritual progress is not cut and dried as taking your blood pressure and comparing it to last week's number. It is more nuanced and multifaceted. So as you become more sensitive, you are better able to observe these changes in your inner condition, attitudes, and reactions. So, one more aspect to appreciate when it comes to the inner progress is that the more you grow, the humbler you become. Humility is essential characteristic of spiritual growing person. Helps you compare yourself to the higher ideal and strive to continue growing. How do you compare to the higher self? It is just that the transmission every time we receive gives you the idea of what that higher could be. Intuitively, you know where you have to reach. Without the transmission, there is no way you have a direction. So that's why the meditation without transmission is has only a placebo effect, not the real. So our journey is toward infinity, and progress we attain is making as akin to infinity. So, in an infinity journey, whatever the condition is, what is the value of that condition? It's only a drop in the ocean. So, that's why don't get stuck with any conditions, keep moving. All right. And the self reflection question, we'll read this and then we'll get into meditation. So, can you give an example of a situation involving others where you respond with poise, confidence, and the delicacy that the situation required to provide a favorable outcome for those others? What you have learned about yourself from these situations. So think about that. So here we are still talking about human reactions, but now that we have crossed the heart region, now our self reflection should be, I would say, only on the condition rather than reacting to your reaction to the situations. So from now on, after the sixth point, think more about your conditions, the conditions you are experiencing, and connect with it, merge into it, see the next condition. That should be the journey from now on. All these reactions, opposites, everything is in the heart region. Now we have crossed it. So let's focus going forward on that. Okay, so I'll stop sharing. Any questions, points you want to share? All right, everyone is quiet.